Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here, because today, we're taking a microscopic road trip through one of the most fascinating systems in the human body. We're going to uncover the literal electrical magic of a single heartbeat, tracking the origin and the spread of the cardiac impulse.
But first, I want you to really think about a pretty wild physiological question. How does a heart just keep beating even after it's been completely removed from a body? Right? You've probably seen it in movies or maybe documentaries, but it's not science fiction. The human heart is essentially this independent machine. It literally does not rely on your brain to tell it to pump.
Okay, let's dive into this. The answer to that mystery comes down to one core concept: automaticity. This is basically the heart's superpower. It's the ability of specialized cardiac muscle fibers to just generate their own electrical impulses spontaneously, entirely on their own, without any external nervous stimulation. It is the exact reason your heart doesn't need a text message from the brain to initiate a beat. To understand how this works, we're going to follow the exact journey of a single electrical spark. Our roadmap for today looks like this. First, the spark of life. Second, birth of the impulse. Third, the crucial toll booth delay. Fourth, the lightning-fast sprint. And finally, fail-safes and backup generators. All right, let's hit the road. Segment 1, the spark of life. Now, before we really zoom into the cellular level, let's just quickly establish our geographical route through the heart. Every single heartbeat traces a highly precise sequence. The impulse begins right at the top in the SA node, sweeps down across the atria, hits the AV node, travels down the His bundle, spreads out through the Purkinje fibers, and finally causes the ventricles to contract. It's this perfectly coordinated top-to-bottom electrical cascade. Moving right into segment 2, birth of the impulse. Let's head back to the starting line of our spark's journey and meet the heart's natural pacemaker. 60 to 100. That's the normal beats per minute resting rate generated by the undisputed CEO of the heart, the sinoatrial, or SA node. We're talking about a tiny little crescent of specialized tissue sitting right up at the top of the right atrium, right near the superior vena cava. This little node? It is the ultimate boss of your heart rate. So you might be wondering, why does the SA node fire all by itself? Well, unlike normal ventricular cells that just wait patiently with a stable resting potential, relying on fast sodium to fire, SA node cells are restless. They have what's literally officially called the funny current. This current causes their electrical potential to constantly drift upward until it hits a threshold. And once it hits that threshold, calcium rushes in, the node fires, and boom, a heartbeat is born. It's a continuous, rhythmic, upbeat pacing that literally keeps you alive. Which brings us to segment 3, the crucial toll booth delay. After sweeping across the upper chambers of the heart, our electrical spark hits its next major stop, and things deliberately slow down. The impulse arrives at the AV node, which is hanging out down in the floor of the right atrium in a spot called Cox Triangle. And here, it experiences a delay of 120 milliseconds. I mean, it's basically like hitting a massive traffic jam. The specialized cells here actually have fewer gap junctions, so the electrical wave just crawls along at a fraction of its previous speed. But don't be fooled. This delay is absolute physiological genius. The whole purpose of this tiny 120 millisecond pause is to allow the atria to finish contracting and completely fill the lower ventricles with blood. We call this the atrial kick. If this delay wasn't there, the top and bottom of your heart would squeeze at the exact same time, and the result of that would be a massive 20 to 30% drop in your blood pumping efficiency. So that little delay is actually what gives your heart its pumping power.
All right, segment 4, the lightning-fast sprint. Because once our spark finally clears that AV node traffic jam, it is time to hit the gas.
The impulse absolutely blasts into the bundle of His. Now, this is an incredibly important structure because your heart actually has a tough, fibrous skeleton completely separating the top chambers from the bottom chambers. This skeleton acts as a strict electrical insulator. So, the bundle of His is literally the one and only electrical bridge allowed to cross this barrier, perfectly routing the signal down the septum where it splits off into the left and right bundle branches. Now, what's truly incredible here is the sheer difference in speed. Remember the AV node crawling along at 0.05 meters per second? Well, the Purkinje fibers rocket the signal at 4 meters per second. They are the largest, fastest conducting cells in the entire heart. And because they reach the very bottom, the apex of the heart first, they force the ventricles to squeeze from the bottom up. It's exactly like rolling a tube of toothpaste from the bottom to push the blood up and out into your body.
On to our final part, Segment 5, Failsafes and Backup Generators. We've seen the perfect, ideal pathway, but what happens if the main power grid goes down?
Your heart has this incredible survival mechanism governed by the rule of overdrive suppression. Think of it kind of like a strict use-it-or-lose-it backup system. Because the SA node is the fastest, it gets to act as the dominant CEO, suppressing all the other potential pacemakers by firing before they even get a chance to wake up. It literally keeps them in line by forcing their sodium-potassium pumps to work overtime, effectively keeping them quiet. So how exactly does this hierarchy build a brilliant failsafe? Well, if the SA node gets damaged or fails, that suppression is lifted, and the next fastest system wakes up. The AV node will take over as an escape rhythm, keeping your heart beating at around 40 to 60 beats per minute. If that fails, the bundle of His steps in. Even the Purkinje fibers can act as a pacemaker of last resort at 20 to 40 beats a minute. Now, that might not be enough to run a marathon for sure, but it is enough to keep you alive.
Before we wrap up today, I want to share a really fun, practical mnemonic used by medical students everywhere to memorize the exact route we just took. Some attorneys have bundles producing vexing motions. That's SA node, atria, AV node, His bundle, bundle branches, Purkinje fibers, and ventricular myocardium. Keep that in your back pocket, and you'll forever understand the roadmap of a heartbeat.
We've seen today just how perfectly orchestrated and resilient this biological machine truly is. But it does leave us with a pretty provocative thought. If the heart's electrical system is this resilient, what happens when chaotic impulses completely bypass these pathways and cause these failsafes to short circuit? That right there is the terrifying yet absolutely fascinating world of cardiac arrhythmias. And it's something we might just have to explore in a future explainer. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and keep asking questions.